Hey everyone, and welcome to the Dota 2 Builds of the Week, the weekly series where I show you guys top 5 meta builds to help you get started learning new heroes in Dota 2. As always, the link to my Twitch is down in the description below, as is a link to each of the builds we're discussing today. Moreover, if you'd like to support the series, please press the like button. It's all YouTube cares about and it helps me immensely. Regardless, this week is all about the grand finals of the Arlington Major. We saw some absolutely insane games, and we're here to talk about some of the key heroes and some of the key builds that were played through the Major. We're starting with Yatoro God's Monkey King safe lane. Now, Monkey King was pulled out as a safe lane hero every once in a while, but what's interesting is that Monkey King in past majors was being played as a position 4. Now he's seeing a resurgence as a core, although there's some debate as to whether or not he actually is a top tier meta core. With that being said, this is the build that is being currently used. Now, the way he's being played is essentially you are taking a value point in Boundless Strike early on. Boundless Strike is simply because you need that stun, it provides you with some additional damage, it is a good value skill. But from there, so you can trade more effectively in the laning stage, Jingu Mastery is what you want. Especially if you're at low on Mars, like noobs will just trade into you and let you Jingu on them, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, if you're anything above like Guardian, then you know, that's not going to happen. And then from there, you are going to Tree Dance. Now, this is a bit of a change. Now, what's happening is when you're playing core Monkey King, you do focus on Tree Dance. The reason why is because at this point in time, you're exiting the laning stage and you're farming, you're jungling, okay? You Jingu for the laning stage, you Tree Dance for the jungling phase, so to speak, or the farming phase, because it provides you with a lot of primal spring damage, which is key for clearing out camps. From there, in terms of the item build, you are building as much stats as you can up front into Power Tread's Magic Wand. Now, the wand is super important. Not only does it work well with the double branch that you're bringing to the laning stage, but it also provides you with a lot of key regeneration, because you do tend to be a central key component of many fights. You do eventually get rid of the wand when you get to the Basher, but regardless, you do go Echo Saber into Maelstrom, into BKB, Scotty, which is great because it actually has an impact on your Wukong's command attacks, Basher into Abyssal Blade, and from there, if you really want to go, you can go Mjolnir to finish off the Maelstrom. That is the most typical build. There'll be games where you might need to consider going MKB. There'll be other games where you want to get Refresher. It all depends on the specific situation. But regardless, this is the core build on Monkey King, and as a core, you're usually taking the full left side talents. With that being said, Monkey King is in a pretty interesting spot right now, transitioning from a position 4 back into the core role where he was once most known for. Haters, where are you now is exactly what Toronto Tokyo said as they ended game number 4 against LGD. Now, what's interesting about that is that people didn't expect him to play Quap 2 times in those final series. And Quap is an interesting hero because she has had an improved laning stage. She has a ton of burst potential with a BKB piercing ultimate, but she's one of those heroes that kind of like fell out of favor. People just weren't really playing her, especially at this major. And now suddenly going into the finals, Toronto Tokyo's pulling out Quap multiple times. So let's talk about mid Quap. Now, basically the way she works is you take Scream of Pain up front in order to secure the range creep with that additional 75 damage. From there, you're focusing in on Shadow Strike so that you can trade more effectively in the lane. A lot of people may forget that Shadow Strike has been changed to provide Quap with an additional heal per tick as well to help in sustaining the lane. From there, you're getting a value point in Blink, and then you're focusing in almost completely on Scream of Pain. So again, similar to Monkey King, how there's like a laning element and then there's a farming element. With Queen of Pain, it's similar. While you're laning, you're getting Shadow Strike for that heal tick and for the damage tick. It allows you to trade effectively, and you know, it's on a relatively short cooldown provided you have the mana. From there, you go into Scream of Pain. This allows you to farm much more effectively. At level 4, doing 300 damage to basically any creep around you is tremendous, especially when you consider the mobility provided to you by Blink. With regards to talents, most people are currently going the following: the strength to improve your tank ability, attack speed into Scream of Pain damage into the spell block itself. That is pretty standard. With regards to itemization, you're taking multiple sticks up front, branches, so you can build your magic wand. You are going a quick bottle. Queen is an absolutely must bottle purchased hero. Wow, that's bad English. But anyways, you know what I mean. You have to buy a bottle on Quap because of Blink. It allows you to secure the runes very easily compared to other heroes. Like a Tiny, for instance, can't nearly secure runes as effectively as a Quap can. From there, treads. Witchblade is the next thing, and you're even seeing some people go brown boots into Witchblade and then finishing treads after. For the sake of this guide, knowing that a lot of newer players play it, I'm keeping it more simple. Treads into Witchblade, which is an absolutely amazing item on Quap, into Kaya Sanj. Well, I can't speak for some reason during this one. Kaya Sanj, it's going to provide you with the stat resistance, it gives you the spell amp, it gives you the regen amp, everything that Quap needs, and when you consider the fact you're getting strength from Kaya Sanj and status resistance and your level 10 talent, with Blink, she becomes slightly harder to kill than you might expect. BKB Shard, which provides the silence on the Blink effect, and then finally Shiva's Guard, giving you that added survivability while also amplifying your damage capabilities with regards to your right click through intelligence and obviously, of course, your Witchblade. From there, there's obviously the classic builds of Orchid into Bloodthorn, but that's completely up to you. And another core thing, especially if you find yourself dying often, is Yule Scepter. Yule Scepter is valuable because the time, the 2.5 seconds that you're in the air coincides pretty nicely with the Blink kind of cooldown. So, you know, you blink in, you do some damage, you start to take some damage, you Yule's up, you blink out. That's kind of the way that works there. So it provides you with a lot of added kind of capabilities. Moreover, it will provide a basic to spell, which can be valuable for Quap, who is very reliant on her ability to cast spells and move. Regardless, position 2 Quap, back in the meta. In terms of offlaners during the Arlington Major meta, there was a couple key components. Last week we talked about Razor, and I do believe that Razor was the offlaner of the tournament. However, we need to talk about Beastmaster as well, because Beastmaster was in a really interesting spot where Beastmaster was very frequently banned. Not only that, but you saw the likes of Saberlight playing it to incredible extents. Even Team Spirit had played, Beastmaster. And Beastmaster was one of those heroes that was being pulled out and utilized to a very effective manner. So let's talk about how Beastmaster is being played. It's an updated guide. And with that being said, I actually did a complete beginner's guide on Beastmaster. I'll link it up above for anybody that's interested in learning this micro-intensive hero. He's a ton of fun. He's one of my most played heroes. With that being said, the way that he's being built right now is you're taking a value point in wild axes in order to secure the range creep, okay? That is something that Beastmaster kind of struggles with in the current meta, and so most people are taking wild axes up front. It's not crazy to take Call of the Wild Boar up front either, but a value point in wild axes isn't crazy. From there, you're focusing in on Call of the Wild Boar while taking a value point at level 4 for Inner Beast. The key reason for this is because the laning effectiveness of the boar is far too valuable to pass up. From there, of course, you're taking Primal Roar. Talents, you're focusing in on the damage talent. If you want to focus more on the Wild Axes build, like for instance, let's say you're going the classic kind of scumbaggy Aether Lens into Kaya Sanj, Agnum Scepter type build, it actually should be the other way around. Let me fix that. It's the other way around. So you're going Aether Lens into Kaya. No, come on. Valve? Seriously? Game's in beta. That's the correct order. Let's publish that. Live editing, what can we do? But anyways, Aether Lens into Agnum Scepter, Kaya Sanj. That's the typical build for your Wild Axes build, right? You're going to want to go the mana regen and the Wild Axes talent. But generally speaking, if you are going the build that revolves around getting the Helm of the Overlord as fast as possible, you want this orientation. The reason for this is you want the movement speed, you want the damage, because you're going to be feeding into your timing. You're going to get the 30 damage. You're literally going to Primal Roar guys with your boars and your creeps. You're going to run at guys and right-click them till they can't be right-clicked anymore. You really control that early to mid-game. As soon as you take that first tier tower, you invade their jungle, and you just run at their carry. You force 3-4 man rotations on you, okay? You make space like crazy, and the advantage of you having the vision allows you to be more reactive than them. So a very key understanding of how to play Beastmaster, you pick up this level 10 talent. That 30 damage is going to do a lot. Not only do you have Inner Beast, but you're going to get free shots with Primal Roar, and obviously it gets Primal Roar benefits your minions as well. That is how you play this build. And also, of course, you get the stun from his Agnum Shard on his Call of the Wild Hawk, which is absolutely incredible. And then you go into Drum's Blink, so that you can Blink Initiate with Primal Roar, which is a BKB piercing reliable stun. Finally, into Bongo Boots, which of course benefits your Zoo and all your team. Into AC, which of course benefits your Zoo and all your team. This is the current way that Beastmaster, sorry, is being played. We're moving away from like the wild axis kind of build that was kind of becoming a little more popular and back towards the minion centric build. And I'll just scroll down a little bit so you can see the optional items, which, you know, vary depending on the game. Much more common are things like Heaven's Halberd and Lotus. These are probably the most two common that you'll find yourself building. BKB from time to time, but you're much less likely to be able to afford that, unfortunately, depending on the game state. But regardless, Beastmaster was one of those most contested heroes during the major, and a hero that is definitely worth learning if you're in the offlane. I don't think anybody expected Earthshaker to be as contested and as picked as often as it was during the Arlington Major. It started with Seb picking it non-stop, and then it ended up being ZinQ and others picking up Seb's kind of trailblazing act of picking Earthshaker into many matchups. There was a couple reasons for this. The first was obviously because of the Zoo meta revolving around Chen and Beastmaster and the others. However, it also goes to show you that he just has a ton of control. He became very meta-oriented here, especially with the build-up including Blink into Shard. So let's talk about how Earthshaker was being played. So first of all, you take your first point into Fissure, you block the first wave, so your creeps are running in after the initial horn. You block them to essentially give your carry or your offlaner a better laning kind of equilibrium. And then what you do is you're taking enchant totems so you can trade more effectively. From there, you're focusing completely on Aftershock, okay? You want Aftershock. This is your primary source of trading. First of all, Earthshaker sucks in the lane, okay? It's kind of like a Nyx Assassin. Laning feels really bad, but you make up for that later on with your team fight capabilities. From there, you are of course taking Echo Slam whenever you can. You're delaying your talent until level 11 so that you can get the greater duration and damage on Fissure. And then you take the Fissure damage, Aftershock damage, Fissure range, and then finally Aftershock. That's range, right? Why am I drawing a blank here? That's Aftershock range. Is Aftershock range? Yes, I just wanted to double check there. But anyways, so you are taking the range talent as well. With regards to his primary buildup, okay, you need to bring regen to the lane, okay? As a melee 4, you're going to get harassed like crazy. It's very important you consider taking a stick and building a wand. The wand is super valuable. Moreover, going into Tranquil Boots allows you to utilize the Soul Ring basically whenever you want, because Soul Ring does not trigger the effect of, it does not break. Ironically, it's called break. You know, you're always getting that regeneration regardless of your use of Soul Ring, which allows you to use your mana more effectively. Moreover, you are going to take a Blink Dagger as soon as you can. As an Earthshaker, it's very important that you commit to farming to get your Blink. You can't just like run around like blind, just, I don't know, I'm supporting, dewarding and stuff. You actually have to farm as an Earthshaker to get this Blink Dagger. Without Blink Dagger, you have no team fight utility, okay? Then from there, you're going Shard, which is great because basically your Shard really works wonders with your Fissure and Aftershock. It's essentially what it does. It merges the two together, gives you a lot better synergy for your team, and allows you to make some safer plays because you can actually stun guys from Fissure range, although it's for a reduced cooldown. And then from there, very commonly is being built Aether Lens. With that being said, the most common item after that is often an Octarine Core. But depending on the game state, you might want to consider a Force Staff. You could even go Force Staff before you go Aether Lens. Aether Lens is like, you know, it's a great item, but in many respects, right, there might be games where you need to get that Force Staff before the Aether Lens. There might be games where you really need a Yule's or where you really need a Lotus Orb. So you kind of have to like be a little responsive. This last item is kind of where the build kind of changes, but up until Aether Lens, like this is absolutely stock. That is exactly what you want to do on position 4 Earthshaker, and that is how he has continuously dominated the pro meta. How can we not talk about the Arlington Major without talking about Chen? Yes, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Alex, no one plays position 5 Chen. Position 5 Chen. Chen is basically a pro hero that only pros play. No one plays him in pubs. And when I see someone in Guardian or Archon pick Chen, I know he's going to feed like crazy, and it makes me really sad. But you know what? What's interesting about Chen is that literally he was by far the most contested hero at the Major, and for good reason. He provided an insane amount of utility in team fights. Literally, they were completely basing their initiations on whether or not Chen had Hand of God, or whether or not he used his mech, or if he was alive or not. If Chen died to initiate a fight, everyone just backed off, right? It was crazy how important Chen was to the game. So let's talk about how the current version of Chen is being played. Now, Chen, I know if you're new to the game, he's a super difficult hero to play. Like, I totally respect that. But if you want to challenge yourself, he's a great hero. Now, basically what you do is you are taking Penitence up front. This allows you to trade very effectively in the lane. He works really well. Like, for instance, Z Quixotics and I, he was practicing Chen, and I was playing CK, and he'd say, okay, go. Like, we would basically time the fact that my CK, I had Reality Rift, and Stun. He'd Penitence the guy, and we just beat him into the ground. So if you're able to communicate with your position 1, you can make incredible early plays with Chen. He actually has a very strong laning stage. From there, Holy Persuasion becomes important. You want to get the creeps, and then once you get the creeps, you can use the creeps and Chen himself to stack multiple camps in your jungle at the same time. It's hard, but it's absolutely possible. From there, you are taking Hand of Dog. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I just said that. Hand of God. You are taking Hand of God and Divine Favor later on, which is great because it provides all that passive regeneration and armor. With regards to the talent build, you're taking health, you're taking penitence, you're taking the Hand of God cooldown, and obviously the Hand of God talent at 25, which, to clarify here, because I know a lot of people won't know what it is, it provides additional burst healing of 200 and 10 additional healing over time. And the way Hand of God works, I should actually state this, is there's a burst initial healing and then a heal over time as well. So it's great for like saving somebody and then sustaining the team. That's what makes Hand of God so good. From there, the main build is this. You are starting with Tango into Hedris, and of course you block the camp or unblock yours depending on what's going on. You need mana desperately, so you are going Ring of Basilius into Mechanism. Ring of Basilius comes into play later on anyway. Mechanism's key. Mechanism is your first big timing as a position 5 Chen. The reason for this is because the amount of heal you're producing is pretty significant. People look at 275, they're like, 275. That's okay. But what you have to remember is that is like a burst amount of healing at like, you know, a pretty early point in the game. So it is significant. You get your Arcane Boots. You disassemble Arcane Boots to finish Holy Locket, okay? You can keep it Arcane Boots if you want. I would prefer to disassemble it because the Holy Locket amplifies your healing by 30%, which correlates, of course, with your Hand of God and your Mechanism. That's really what you want to do. Once you cast Hand of God and Mechanism, if you die, like, okay. You know what I mean? You did your thing. So like the sustained mana is less of a thing and more like the healing that you're providing your cores is more important. I mean, that's the I'm a very sacrificial support, so that's the way I think anyway. And then from there, this is where your Basilius comes into play. Vlad's into a Wraith Pact is the most common form of build on Chen, okay? With that being said, if games go really late, there's a couple interesting builds. The first is oh, by the way, you're going to want to get a wand early as well because obviously it builds into Locket. But with regards to the way Chen's played, if you break down your boots to build the Holy Locket, you can then build towards Boots of the Bearing. They're cool because, you know, obviously it helps your zoo and it helps your team. They are expensive, so you're kind of unlikely. You might finish your drums and not actually finish the entire bongo boots. But most commonly, and this, by the way, I put Greaves here, but Greaves is bait. Like, it's way too expensive. Unless you're like Herald and Guardian, where games go for like 60 minutes regularly for no reason. Like, no one's going to build these. But a very useful item on Chen, very commonly built, is in fact Pipe of Insight. Okay, it provides the magic damage shield to all allies, which is very important to understand. Moreover, stacking with penitence to good effect is Solar Crest, or even just the Medallion of Courage, because you can penance somebody. Okay, so they have a movement slow for a long duration, and everyone's getting an attack speed bonus. And guess what? They got negative armor as well. Very valuable. Moreover, I think that 4 staffs and standard support items are valuable on Chen, but he tends to focus on building these support-based items for team fighting. He's all about the team fight. Anyways, guys, Chen, an incredibly, fantastic hero that is really hot in the pro meta right now, and I'd love to see more commonly at lower MMRs. Thank you so much for watching, and a very special thank you to all of our wonderful subscribers. We'll see you in the next Dota 2 video.